Maimonides says that just like the faces of no two individuals are alike, so too their perspectives and characters are not alike. And the Kotzker Rebbe says, why this analogy of no two faces being alike? And the Kotzker Rebbe says that you never see someone who looks different than you and get annoyed. Why doesn't that person look just like me? You actually welcome the fact that you have your unique look and they have their unique look, and no two people look alike. So why is it, says the Kotzker Rebbe, that if someone doesn't share your point of view, you get upset? Why don't you appreciate that just like no two faces are alike, no two personalities are alike either? This week's Torah portion, Moshe Rabbeinu is told by God to go up on the mountain and look at the land of Israel, because he will not enter into the land of Israel, but he would pass away in the desert. And Moshe Rabbeinu turns to God with a plea and a prayer, and he says, God, Elokei HaRuchot, the God of all spirits, appoint a new leader for the Jewish nation so they shall not be like flock without a shepherd. And God tells him to place his hands on Joshua, who will be his successor. And the commentaries ask, why does Moshe address God with the term Elokei HaRuchot, you God, who are the God of all spirits? And our rabbis give a beautiful, fascinating interpretation. And they say that Moshe Rabbeinu learned one thing about leadership over the course of his 40 years. And that was that no two people are alike. Everyone has the unique personality, character, and expression. And therefore, a good leader is not someone who wants to create clones, but a good leader is someone who respects and cultures and nurtures the individuality of each person and allows each person to sing their note in the chorus in the ballad of life. And therefore he says, God, you are the God of all ruchot. You understand that the spirit of one person is not like the spirit of another person. And therefore the criteria and the quality of the leader that I'm asking you to appoint in my place is someone who knows how to walk with the spirit and the unique personality of each individual. And this is such a beautiful lesson for all of our lives, whether in our families, in our marriages, with our children, with our community members, our friends, and as a society. Sometimes we want people to think like us or think alike, like-minded. And the Torah is telling us that leadership, and we're all leaders, means that we're not thinking alike necessarily, but thinking together. And therefore, just like the brain activates the body, and the body has different limbs and organs, and no two limbs and organs have the same function, and if they did all do the same thing, it wouldn't be a human being. So too a leader orchestrates a symphony of ideas, of emotions, of landscapes, of expression, and synthesizes it together, respecting each one's spirit, uniqueness, character, and recognize that everyone has their note to sing and their role to play. Something remarkable happened last week in Germany, and that is, for the first time in over 100 years, a rabbi was appointed to be a chaplain in the German army. That didn't happen since World War I, when over 100,000 Jews served in the German army. But a rabbi, 42 years old, his name is Rabbi Mordechai Eliezer Bala, was appointed as the first ever chaplain in the German army since World War I. And the story of Rabbi Bala is quite remarkable. He grew up in Budapest, Hungary. His father was a high-ranking officer in the Hungarian army. He grew up on an army base. He was born to Christian parents. And at the age of 9, he took an interest in Bible stories. And he said to his mother, why don't you ever take me with you to church? And his mother said to him, well, we need to talk. And she revealed to him that she is the daughter of Holocaust survivors, and indeed she's Jewish, which means he's Jewish. That began his journey towards Judaism, his true religion. And at the age of 12, after the fall of communism in Hungary, he was allowed by his parents to attend a Jewish school that Ronald Lauder opened up after the fall of communism, and he went to the Lauder Jewish Day School. And ultimately, he grew closer and closer to his Judaism. He ended up meeting his wife, who was from Russian descent, in Berlin, Germany. He went to study for the rabbinate, became the first rabbi ordained since 1938 in Germany. And last week he was appointed by the German government to serve as the first rabbi chaplain in the German army. And think about that. Here is a kid who grew up thinking he wasn't Jewish, discovered his Jewishness, reclaimed his Jewishness, and now is teaching not only the 300 Jewish soldiers who currently serve in the German army, but all of the soldiers, the message of Judaism. And the message of Judaism is exactly the opposite of Hitler. Hitler believed that if you weren't part of the Aryan race, you didn't deserve to live. And Judaism says God loves diversity. The one God in heaven loves the diversity and the plurality of man. And therefore we must respect the dignity of difference of individual people. And learn to respect different religions and different races and different cultures, and not to impose one worldview on everyone else. And so, as we recognize the message of Judaism that Moshe Rabbeinu shared with all of us, and now Rabbi Bala will share with the German army, this is the message of Judaism, the dignity of difference and honoring the image of God and each individual, and remembering that just because someone else is not created in your image doesn't mean that they're not created in the image of God. Have a wonderful day.